Let's play. Let's play a couple of clips.
We have this Billionaire clip that we wanted to do.
Yeah. We have Billionaire, and we have the vaccine, and we also have like a little bit of a trailer for this special.
All right.
So this set, I'll just play it. So this set here is.
This is recent.
Yeah, this is from, what was this from? March 8th, I believe.
Yep, March 8th.
This is like a new joke night. So
this is 2020 in the pit. Basically, this is a corona vector right here.
Yeah, the last show I did before I decided to stop doing shows was on March 10th. I should have stopped a week earlier, 2 weeks earlier. But so this was a new joke night that this comic Nat Towson runs at the Pit in New York City. So the joke I've been doing it for a little while, but still tinkering with it. And then the second half of it was pretty much brand new, just kind of done that night. So that bit's not fully developed yet, but here it is.
All right, let's check it out.
Now, some people say we should live in a society where billionaires do not exist. There should be no billionaires. We should economically be structured in a way so that billionaires can exist. Do you agree on that? I agree. There should be no billionaires. It should be one trillionaire, everyone else no money. Monarchies, feudalism, it worked for millennia. Yeah, all these people shitting on billionaires. I mean, if you can't trust billionaires, who can you trust? Cops, you know? The most trustworthy person, theoretically, a billionaire cop. You know they're honest. They've never done anything wrong at all. I tell you guys have got to vote blue. That's right, for cops. Blue lives matter. Blue lives matter. Vote blue no matter who. Yeah.
So that was that vote blue bit that I was doing, for cops. That was one that I think I had just done it that night, and I was just starting to develop that one. So everything's on hold right now. I haven't done any internet stand-up shows.
Is that a thing? I mean, could you, especially with you, man, because you really do, like, it was actually, I was thinking about this because some comics, like, they just sort of, they work with the crowd, but they obviously do their thing. Last week or a couple of weeks ago, we played a vintage clip of Dave Rubin, and literally asking the crowd questions was what he did. I guess he could do this. I mean, look, you could ask people if they're gay on Zoom too, I guess, but you really you seriously interact with them. So how would you do that? I mean,
well, in my act, like I said, I've been doing this, I don't know, a little over 30 years, I guess. And I always did a lot of one-liners, a lot of jokes. I always did a lot of crowd work. And over the years, and my persona, I mean, I was a young kid when I started, and I was a young 19. So the persona has obviously changed over the years, and it continues to develop. But I started doing crowd work in a different way because I would always I remember like probably 20 some years ago, I would be seeing comics and everyone was always trying to bond with the audience. Like if you had this experience I've had, don't you hate that kind of stuff? And I was like, I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to act like I can't relate to one fucking thing the crowd is saying and just act like I'm so much better than them and they're just fucking worthless people. What are they doing here? And just go the total opposite way. So what I was doing was like also satirizing narcissism. And I was initially doing it at an individual level, the bragging person, the self-absorbed person. And then around, I don't know, 10, 12 so years ago, I started satirizing the nation as that way. So I've always done a lot of crowd work, and sometimes my crowd work, I'm kind of satirizing crowd work, and I do a mix of putting down the crowd and complimenting them at the same time, or I'm really putting me down or putting, the country down. And, so I try to, and then I try to also just really just listen to the audience. And,
that's what I noticed.
Really listen
and
really try to go places and really analyze the minutia of everything they're saying. And So it's, my favorite is when I take things in a direction I have no idea where it's going to go, and you really create something right on the spot. My special, there's one bit in there that just happened that night where I was talking to someone from the audience, and they said there's some kind of PR person. I can't remember exactly what it was. And I said, who do you do? They do Twitter for a company. I'm like, who do you do Twitter for? And she said, Bud Light. And I was like,
that's a New York show.
Because everyone's going on Twitter whenever something big happens to this country, and they want to get Bud Light's perspective on it. And then I just kind of went in a direction, and like things like that. It's like, I don't expect it. I don't know where it's going to go. And it's great when it can just keep going and going and really expand.
Well, I thought of two, and then let's play the ad for that special. Yeah. But two that I liked was I thought, and again, especially maybe just because I've heard, and it's no knock on people with these jobs. I mean, these are some of the only jobs that still exist. But somebody in the audience said, "Well, I'm an event organizer," and you just were like, "Oh, so you're a terrorist?"
All right, terrorist.
Yeah, you organize events. And then the second one was some guy from Israel, and it was really funny phrasing. He's like, "Yeah, I'm from here. I'm Israel." And you're in Manhattan.
That was a bit I did over 2 nights.
That was great.
Together there. So initially, someone, I'm asking the crowd, "Where are you from?" And oh God, exactly. I'm blanking on how it went there. The guy said he's from Israel, and then I said, "Oh, what part of Palestine are you from?" And then that got like a huge
that was good.
Laugh, and created a shitload of tension in the room as well.
Right.
And then another guy was saying, I asked him, where are you from? And he said, Israel. I'm like, we're in Israel, Tel Aviv. And he's like, right here, Tel Aviv. And I'm like, this is New York we're in. This is not Tel Aviv. And I'm like, see, that's why there's problems. Wherever you go, you think it's yours. But so that was, that's something that happened that night, So
I really like that.
For me, stand-up is certainly the way I do it. It's a mix of a monologue and a dialogue. It's not, because stand-up is live performance. So to me, some comics have joke 1, and then they got bit 50, and then that's the end of their show, and it's the same every night. I tend to always go into a show with an arsenal of material and always new stuff I'm working on. I don't know what order I'm going to do it in, and I also talk with the crowd a lot, and sometimes just talking with them will lead me to a bit that I've already done, and then sometimes it'll lead me like I do a lot of writing off stage and on stage. So when I have a bit on, let's say I have a bit on healthcare, and someone, because I kind of run like a mock town hall. I tell people I might have to be president someday, ask me any questions. And then, so someone might yell out healthcare. And that's going to be a question people yell a lot. So the first time someone yells it out, I'll come up with a joke on the spot. And if it does really well, the next time I do a show, if someone yells that out, I'll do that bit again. And then I'll try to think of another bit and build on it. So a bit that started out as a 5-second or a 10-second bit, after a few weeks, a few months, might be a 2 or 4 minute long bit. So just trying to build like that. So not everyone does writing on stage. They really it's more of a pre-written thing, and mine's never been that way. So, but like I said, everyone works differently.
Hearing you talk about
and yours is better. I'm sorry, Matt. Go ahead. I just wanted to clarify that. Yeah.
Hearing you talk about that way, you kind of just like to let things go and you don't know exactly where they're going to lead to. It seems like comedy is sort of like a process for interpreting reality almost. Like I think of what I like in comedy, it's like a tour through. Like I like comedians that will deal with certain subjects in a humorous way that I'm familiar with, and sort of lead different paths through it in a certain way. And I mean, and that's sort of the way we use comedy on this show too, right? Like Michael will take like an avatar for some voice, and then we see what that character would do through this reality, and it cuts like a different line.
Yeah. I mean, you're often exploring different things, and when you're creating things, it's a lot of it is just, taking a risk and using your brain and your heart and your gut and seeing where things are going. And generally, the more you do it, the better you get at it. I mean, theoretically, that should be how it works. Yeah, comedy is one of those things where, or even, philosophizing. If you keep using your brain, you should theoretically improve, instead of just being stuck at a certain level,
Let's play the ad for the special.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to do, and yeah, this is great. This is in 2017.
Right.
Well, they say love wins. I think hate has a pretty strong track record. I'm against North Korea using nuclear weapons because that is cultural appropriation in the United States. That is not okay. We live in an oligarchy, but with humidity, it feels like a dictatorship. I think I'm gonna have to be the next president. Any questions about my presidential platform for 2017? Over here? Yeah. Healthcare? We don't need it. We're Americans. We're strong. Europeans need it because they're genetically inferior and they have no contact.
Climate change.
I am for climate change. I don't want the same weather every day. That's fascism. When I'm president, I'm not even going to have a first lady because I think ranking women is sexist. Racism, where do you stand? For or against it? A lot of undecided. Racism, big problem, but we're still #1 at it. Any other questions about my presidential platform? Any other issues?
Gun control.
I think if Jesus had been American and had a gun, he'd still be alive today. They'd try to nail him to the cross, he'd be like, "Not so fast, you pieces of shit." Jesus, America, victory.
You know what I like about that too is I like the literalism of it, because that's one of the most annoying tendencies in the world today, like across the board, whether it's obviously everybody always goes at religious fundamentalists, but also like the new atheist people, just that trope of like, well, I mean, climate change, of course. Like I like the logic of like, let's look at things in an absolutely literalist, linear way and just go with it and be as dense about it as possible.
Right.
Of course I want the weather to change. What's wrong with you? Like,
Yeah.
You ask me a question, I'm giving it to you straight.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's like, it's almost like, sometimes it's almost like, can almost be like a conspiracy theory in a sense, where it's like, you come up with some solution that might be completely wrong, but mathematically, like everything like links up,
Yes.
even though theoretically it shouldn't, so, and then you create, well, then this is factual,
Yes.
So jokes are sometimes, it's almost like they're like math sometimes, or pieces of a puzzle where you're making all these things link that really shouldn't be linking at all, so I was just, so that special, I made that without any deal in place. I made it completely myself. A lot of it was filmed just by me with putting little cameras in the rooms. And I did hire some people to do camera work sometimes too. And then so I completely made it myself. And then my agent at the time, I haven't had an agent in at least a few years. We shopped it around and it took a long time, but Netflix finally said yes to it. And then So I own it, and then it's technically licensed to Netflix. Now, most of the vast majority of the time, their specials are not made that way. It's they make it,
right,
and they pick you, and then they produce it, and then they put it out. And I, like years ago, I turned down a Netflix special. It was one where like they were going to be producing it, and I turned down some specials from Comedy Central years ago, and there was always some creative. I always felt there were going to be creative censorship things, and there was always legal censorship, legal things I didn't like, where they would not only own that performance, they would own everything you wrote in that performance. And I'm
that's a crazy fucking.
Yeah, and I'm like, you can't own my words and what I wrote.
That's incredible.
I would just turn them down. And with Comedy Central years ago, there were always like, there was always censorship with, and a lot of times it was unwritten, but it's there, where it could be, certain issues or
probably the Tel Aviv jokes.
Oh, that would not fly. I was shocked that stuff got through. And I know if I pitched this to Netflix, it never would have been approved. It never would have been approved. And since then, I probably have a couple hours of new material since I put out that last stand-up movie. And I've emailed Netflix, never returned my emails, And one time a friend of mine, a comic, he emailed me to see if they might be interested. And I'm like, I doubt it. They haven't returned my emails, but I'll email them. So I emailed the contact I have there. And they emailed me back immediately and said, no, we're not interested in his, and we're not going to watch it. And then I emailed them back, and I'm like, well, just to remind you, about 6 months ago, I sent you an email saying I'm ready to do another one. I want to see if you're interested. Never heard back from them. So it's just like, showbiz in general, it's sort of a myth that Hollywood is left wing,
right.
And both sides use it to their own advantage. The Republicans and the right wing will say, oh, they're just a bunch of loony hippies out there. They're out of touch, etc. And then Hollywood will say, yes, we're liberal and progressive, and we're such great equality loving people and just treat everyone perfect, and they're full of shit on that, it's fake news from both directions, so because they're really, most of Hollywood, Hollywood's owned by some of the biggest corporations in the world,
and one of America's biggest exports globally.
Yeah, exactly.
Major business.
Yeah, it's still. Yeah.
And you're not going to have Pentagon advisors on your stand-up special.
No. So it's just like, I really, the past, the more I do things, the more I just feel getting like pushed to the fringes of the business. And
so what does that mean? Like, are you like basically now you're doing like what we do? Like, does that mean like, okay, having, not a Patreon page. I never pray that.
Well, I need to learn about that stuff because now there's no live performing, there's venues aren't open. I don't know when they're going to be safe to go to, before things got shut down in New York, I was like, I'm going to be out of work for 2 months to 2 years, probably, because, where is it going to be? Who's going to want to go sit next to someone who's an inch away and that they don't know and have a room of 100 or 200 or more of them? Who's going to want to do that?
If I have to deal with this for another month, I'll be there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe people just go, fuck it.
Yeah. Whatever.
Might get that way. I don't know. So
I don't want to feed that attitude, but I'm just trying to be honest about my own limits.
Hey, I hear you. So it's so I don't know.
You just watched a Michael Brooks show video. Subscribe to get them all. Why wouldn't you? Don't be foolish. Click subscribe below and become a patron as well. Patreon.com/TMBS. Thanks, everybody.